for it.
Well, what they
and
said
Damon
was-
Lindelof doesn't want to do it, and HBO currently doesn't want to go forward without him.
Yeah,
They could change their mind though, so it could happen, but it doesn't seem like they're like, oh, we need another one.
Yeah.
It seems like there's probably not going to be a second season, at least
not anytime soon.
But I think the way that season wrapped up, that's totally fine, because it works very well as just a self-contained thing, apart from the mystery of Lube Man. But apart from that, it's
Luden's fan. Death Stranding, you say?
Yeah, that's what
I have a rule. We're not talking about Death Stranding in 2020.
What's wrong with Death Stranding?
Nothing. I like that game. Well, actually, that's not true. There are some things wrong with it, but
I mean, well, yeah.
Also, I like it.
Pull off your townnails. I didn't.
New decade. New decade. New games.
Oh yeah, Pat. How's Dark Souls treating you?
Pretty well. Last time I played, I one-shotted the KO demon, the guy with the dogs.
Caco demon from Doom.
Are
we talking about Doom Eternal?
Caco demon. I forget his name. He's like the guy with the skull head, and he has the huge cleaver.
Yep.
Yeah, that guy. When I first played that game, that guy almost made me uninstall it, and I killed him one time. So
it's rough. Anyway,
but I knew the stairs trick this time. You gotta use the stairs trick.
Yeah.
So
you gotta.
So
we got actually Pat has been playing a new game.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what we were waiting for, because you had stepped away to go pet your dog.
Assist with the dog started freaking out. She's good.
I played a little bit of this too,
and I have not played any of it this week, but played a decent amount of it last week.
Wow. Pat, how about you tell us about the Legends of Runeterra?
Oh,
I was going to say, Alex did not play Legends of Runeterra.
No, we can talk about Tokyo Mirage Sessions too, but that,
I don't.
You said 2020, no old games.
Exactly.
So.
Okay.
Also, I don't have a lot of thoughts on Tokyo Mirage Sessions other than it seems cool. The intro song is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
all the songs are.
I'm gonna watch when we're done recording. Watch the intro again because it's really good.
All the songs.
Yes, it is.
I got more fired up watching that intro sequence than I have while playing most games in 2019.
Yeah.
The intro sequence of that game got me like my blood pumping more than the ending of Dishonored, which is an incredibly good video game, perhaps one of the best of the decade. And yet there's something about the specific song in Tokyo Mirage Sessions with that imagery that works really well. I don't know. It seems cool. It's like a Persona game, and Persona games are good. So
it starts much faster.
Yes, that part's good.
It's just generally much faster. There's no daily schedule. I gotta go and I can study, and then the cat's gonna make me go to bed. It's just you're free to do what you want.
And I do like too that you can switch the difficulty at any time.
Yes.
Because I started playing it on hard. It sounds like, Andre, there's some bits and pieces that are maybe too hard on hard.
Unless you really want to farm.
I don't want to grind, but I do want the basic encounters to be enjoyable and not just like fodder too. So being able to switch back and forth is cool.
So I was just stuck on a boss at the end of the second dungeon. And so I was like, okay, I'm not able to beat it. I've tried like 2 or 3 times on hard. I'll knock it down to medium, and I still couldn't beat it. So I was like, okay, I guess I have to go farm.
That's fine.
But so then I beat it on hard. So
it's not that
you put in and I didn't have to farm a lot.
Yeah,
it's just
I don't mind having to do a little bit of that. Like that's just JRPGs, but I don't want it to be like extreme difficulty where I have to farm for 10 hours before I can advance the plot.
I enjoy the figuring out, okay, what is my strategy here, and the way they have the sessions work is really interesting.
It's interesting. The only problem I have with it in the 2 hours that I played on the plane was I feel like the music is so strong in that opening moment, and then once you're in the game, it's kind of just like
it's kind of generic, like JRPG or generic-ish
for a game that is its music is like it is playing with the music industry, and obviously Idle, there's way more to it than that, but that's a big part of Idle. The Idle world is the music part. Some would argue maybe that's the most important part. And so I kind of wish that they could just play that opening song that slaps a whole lot in the battles. I would not complain about that.
Yeah.
And then I can let me turn it off if it gets repetitive.
Yeah.
Because the music that they
agree.
did choose is repetitive from like the first time you hear it. So,
Yeah.
but that's a very minor complaint because I will play a lot of that game with podcasts on or whatever. So
I also
who
think
cares?
that kind of ties into my kind of singular complaint with it so far, which is that parts of it feel real old.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just some interactions you have and just like the way you're interacting with the world sometimes feels like a JRPG from the mid 2000s to late,
Yeah.
But
It also is like it's playing with Fire Emblem aesthetics for the character designs, which are not as interesting as Personas, frankly.
Yeah.
They're still cool looking. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But
You unlock costumes. You can actually get a Joker costume.
yeah, I saw
Joker
that.
from
That's
Persona,
cool.
not from DC.
Oh man, what if it was a Joaquin Phoenix's Joker costume?
That was what they had to cut for the Western release.
Censorship,
Due to
man.
licensing, not censorship.
Yeah, I was looking up some of the stuff they changed for like because the Japanese version had some stuff that like they changed ages for the Western release. They changed some of the second dungeon is like a photographer based thing, and there's like some photo shoot stuff. And apparently in the Japanese version, it was all like bikini photos, but in the Western and this version of the game, it's all just like they're just like regular model photos in like modest clothing.
Appreciate that.
But then Kyria is just like you could see her thong at all times. Is just like peeking up over her skirt.
Yeah.
I mean, if she's-
whatever.
yeah,
It's her
I don't know.
aesthetic. It's just I don't know.
there's a weird, I don't know. I read in a review about how like there's a whole subplot that involves the main character teaching another character how to like pick up women, which is like
Probably.
weird. And I mean, to some extent, games like the Yakuza series get into some of that stuff too, but it feels like the tone in the Yakuza series is always like
Very tongue in cheek and
self-aware.
and good-hearted in nature.
That's really what it comes down to.
It's always like Kiryu's always a sweetheart deep down, and
even Majima, who is not a sweetheart, he's like Majima runs like a hostess club, but like I think it's Majima, maybe it's just Kiryu who does it, but I think Majima does
Majima.
but like it
Zero.
seems like he cares about the women that work there.
Yeah,
like,
I mean the whole.
weirdly.
I mean, you like the way to do well in that mini game is to have a good conversation with the women and actually talk to them about their lives. And
so I don't know. I feel a little weird about that stuff in TMS, but I have to play it to see what really is there.
It's basically a harem game. My party, I think at this point is 3 women who are all like weirdly attracted to me, and then one other guy.
Yeah, that's a little weird, but I would rather like the nice thing at least is that like that this conversation is happening, whereas probably 15 years ago no one would have even like, well, I mean, plenty of people would have, but I would not even necessarily have gone like, wow, maybe there's something weird here. And you probably wouldn't see as many articles about it. They'd be hidden away on like Paste and Medium.
Yeah. But I'm having a really good time. I think the combat is very good.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that they just roll right into it and there's not so much downtime because you can just be going at all times.
Totally.
You don't get locked out of stuff based on like, oh, I finished chapter 2, so now I can't. I think I've done like kind of everything as it's shown up, but I believe they kind of say like, oh, you don't have to worry too much about like losing access to like stuff. So if you want to like wait and do something later, you can. So like, oh, this side quest showed up in chapter 2, but I'm on chapter 3. I can still go back and do that side quest.
Yep.
It's cool.
Is Tsubasa wearing glasses for you?
Yes, I chose to. It's like it seems like she'd wear glasses, and you can change that at any time too.
It chose for me, and it chose no.
Yeah, it chose for me, and it chose yes. So there is randomness.
Yeah,
confirmed.
Yep, RNG works. Anyways, new video games for 2020.
Yeah, it's
The hottest and freshest and newest of video games.
It's not out.
League
We're talking about old games and
Legends.
games that aren't out.
2009's League of Legends.
Oh, is it only 2000? I guess. Jeez.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that was the only game of the decade to me that was like competitive with Minecraft in my head as like one worth saying maybe is as influential. But it technically didn't release. I mean, its influence was primarily in the 2010s, but it didn't release in the 2010s.
I always think it released earlier because I got into it in like
totally. I played it like 2 years before the release date.
2009 or like I was playing it in high school and I thought I played it earlier than 2000. But I started in like 2008.
The beta ran for like two years.
I didn't think I started at the beginning though. Like I thought it had been out for a little bit, but I still remember those days fondly.
But anyway, Legends of Runeterra is a new video game that is set in the League of Legends Runeterra universe.
The land of Runeterra. Yeah.
The land.
It's what is it, Pat?
A digital trading card game.
Yeah. Did you say that? I don't even know. Yeah, it's one of them.
Yep, it's one of them. But it's also one of them that does things like, in a sense, it almost does things more differently than Artifact. Like it definitely, the structure of the turns is such that it actually like, and the way they've put all the pieces together, it really does create a very different game flow, and it makes you think very differently than
it's a call and response kind of gameplay.
But you can, like it does. There's core things. I guess we should say, like at a base level, it's a trading card game, digital trading card game.
Well, not trading card, collectible card.
Well, collectible card, because
you don't.
You can't trade them, but it also does away with a lot of like tropes of the digital CCG genre. Like you buy the cards directly. You don't buy packs of random cards, which is cool. I will say that the more I think about it, the more I think, given that it's a little weird that it's like there's epic, rare, and common cards when it's really just like they cost more than each other.
You can also get them from like playing the game. So
but it's always like you get one epic card and 4 common cards.
Maybe that's just from like the tutorial or whatever. I don't know how much you've played. I've only done a couple.
I got through the whole prologue track.
Okay.
And I'm about a quarter of the way into the Demacia progression.
Okay.
When you finish the prologue track, which is structured kind of like a battle pass, but it's not a time limited thing, and you don't have to buy anything. When you get through the prologue track, you can then get to there's like a different track for each region that has 20 levels, and you can switch them at any time, but the rewards are kind of based on that region.
Cards for that region and whatnot. But I wonder what that'll look like once you finish all that, like the early stuff, and then like what their daily and like mission kind of rollout of stuff will be.
I would suspect they will add a battle pass that uses that exact same UI. Maybe. And you can level the existing stuff or the battle pass and just pick the current season. But I don't know. Either way, it is still structured more fairly than opening random packs. I mathed it out, and it's like $450 to buy all the cards if you didn't have any free ones. But you get a lot of free ones, so it's probably. I mean, I've probably gotten like a good $60 in cards from that just by playing it a bunch.
Yeah. And for a day. You buy the starter pack, which is like $5 right now. It's 75% off, and that gets you like 66 cards.
Yeah. So I don't mean to. The value is fine, I think, and it's the kind of game where it's designed where you will like see something another player does and go, "Oh crap, I want to be able to do that," and then go spend like $15 or $20 on cards to be able to build the deck that you saw them playing.
You can only spend so much per day, which is interesting.
You can only I think it's per week actually.
It's you can only buy get like so many cards per week.
You can buy as much of the currency as you want, but you can only unlock a certain number of cards per week.
About like $25 worth per week.
Yeah. So it's the progression and stuff doesn't feel predatory to me. It feels smart and interesting, and like the unlocking cards. Gameplay wise, when you first look at it, it looks fuck ton like Hearthstone.
Yes, very much.
I was pretty worried about leading up to release, because Hearthstone is a very, very simple game that is pretty much solved. So right now at this point in Hearthstone, it's pretty much just a RNG based thing. Like it's all just about,
is your hand good or not?
Yeah, like everyone plays the same decks. There's like 3 to 5 different decks that are in the meta at any given time, and it's just a question of is the matchup favorable to you, and do you draw the right cards? It's not hard to hit the skill cap in Hearthstone and always know what the right play is. So I was worried seeing Runeterra gameplay at first without really paying attention to what was going on, that it was going to be like that. And for all I know, in a month we may come back and go like, "Yep, it's that," but after a day of playing it, it feels a lot more complex than Hearthstone, primarily because there's a lot of player interaction, which is something that Hearthstone is lacking. When your opponent does something, there's not really anything you can do to stop it in Hearthstone. You can play like a taunting minion to keep your opponent from using their huge attack minion on you, but there's no, hey, wait, stop what you're doing. I have a counter to that. It's like
you've activated my trap card.
Yeah, that's it. It's like it's trap cards and stuff like that. So in Runeterra, there's a thing called there's a stack like in Magic where you can actually like respond to what your opponent's doing. More importantly, though, like at a base level, it does the same thing as Hearthstone in that you have mana crystals that fill up 1 per turn, and you use that mana to pay for units and spells that you play onto the board. Spells have direct effects, and units are like characters that stick around.
There's a secondary spell mana bar that's worth 3. If you don't spend your summoning mana, it translates into spell mana, but you can use your regular mana to use spells, but you can't use spell mana to summon like creatures or whatever.
It's a smart mechanic to make you feel less like, you know, in Hearthstone, if you're not using all of your mana each turn, it's considered inefficient. It's kind of like resource use and APM in StarCraft. So in Runeterra, it's a much more strategic resource because you can sit on spell mana for a turn or two and to be able to cast a spell and combo it with other stuff. The biggest thing though is most of these games are what's called you go, I go, which is where you take your turn, you do your attacks and everything, you play your cards, and then it's my turn to take a turn and play attacks and all my cards. In Runeterra, it's round based, and each round someone has the attack token. And when you have the attack token, you can attack. Otherwise, though, you're alternating actions back and forth. So I play a creature, then you get a chance to play a card. I play a spell, then you get a chance to play a card. I attack, and then you get a chance to play a card or respond
like defend or whatever.
And what the attacking is it's like I have the attack token, and I say, now I'm attacking, and I put my attackers forward, and then you put your blockers forward, and now that's the attack. There's not going to be any other attacks unless I have some card that grants me, there's an ability called Rally that gives me the attack token again.
In between there, by putting the blockers down, putting attackers down, you can put a spell down to do something. So it which is structured similarly to Magic rather than Hearthstone. Hearthstone is a you choose what you're attacking. Magic is a you choose what's blocking. But what it means is that like you can have rounds where it's like, well, I'm sitting on a really powerful card, and if I play it, I'll be able to attack with it this round because there's no concept of summoning sickness where you have to wait a turn to use your attacks. But if I play it, it gives my opponent a chance to do an action, and I already have a pretty solid board. So if I just attack now, right off the bat and at the beginning of the round, then I actually might have a chance to do more to their board and control it more. So it means that the game is very control heavy without making it impossible to play different kinds of decks. Like you could still play an aggro deck, but even aggro decks are more about controlling the flow of the game than they would be in something like Hearthstone, where it's just like, I got to get the right draws and do the right thing on each turn. And if I do that, I win, which is very interesting. There's also other little mechanics like champion cards. They can level up based on doing
different
conditions. So like Garen, who's classic spin to win character, if he attacks twice, or if he's hit twice,
if he strikes twice,
if he strikes twice, he levels up. He gets like bonus health and damage. Tryndamere, if he dies, he then levels up and gets like a bunch more damage, stuff like that.
Yeah, the one I still haven't been able to get, and it makes for this. So this is the thing I realized last night. That's part of why I'm loving it so much. Is it creates a narrative every time you play. Like Hearthstone feels like two people trying to achieve their win condition. It's like and that's actually how Magic feels too, even though Magic is a better game. What I think is so cool about Runeterra, and again, this is a feeling that might go away in a month, but it feels like you're telling a story almost in the same way that you do with a league match, where like early game for me, like there's a Fiora is one of my favorite league characters, and she has a card in Runeterra. When you play her, she has an ability called Challenger, which means she can choose the enemy that she fights when she attacks instead of your opponent getting to select who's blocking her. And her condition to level up is to kill 2 enemies. So she's a pretty cheap card. You can play her pretty early in the game. I've never been able to level her up because obviously your opponent wants to keep that from happening. So suddenly, I play her, I get to attack with her. She gets one of the kills she needs. She still has a couple of health left. So it's looking like next turn I might be able to level her up because she's pretty powerful when she's leveled up. Now my opponent is like, I'm not holding on to these cards that might have been win condition cards for me in a Hearthstone match. Mm-hmm. I need to stop Fiora from leveling up. So I need to kill Fiora. And so it makes for a much more like back and forth, like not two people playing their Hearthstone is very much two people playing their decks to try to win. Whereas this game has a lot more player interaction and a lot more like what your opponent is doing affects you more. It's pretty cool so far. I think there's some stuff that's pretty broken right now. Like I played against a Nivea deck last night that was just like basically like you cannot. Anivia does 2 damage to your entire board when she attacks.
Yeah, AoE damage, baby.
And she does 3 damage to whoever she's attacking, which was very funny because I had a leveled up Braum who spawns a Mighty Poro every time he survives damage. So he was spawning 2 Mighty Poros per turn because Anivia would deal her damage to him and her AoE damage and then attack him.
That's very funny.
But for a while we were at just a total stalemate because also when Anivia dies, if you're at max mana, which we both were, she turns into an egg and then respawns the next turn. So it's impossible to kill her. So ultimately, like it was just this like dumb back and forth of the same thing happening over and over.
Was this against AI or another player?
No, it was another player. And then ultimately they drew a card that was just a like 7 mana drop that allowed them to kill a unit, and they killed Braum, and then with that kill a unit card, and then they won. And that felt bad. That game was like, it was funny at first, but then it was like, this is really dumb. We're each drawing a card per turn, and like nothing is happening until you drew the card you needed. And it had that feel of like, whoever draws the card they need first is going to win. So I think there's stuff they need to balance some and change. Elusive units also are like really fucking powerful because they can only be blocked by units that have elusive. Mm-hmm. So it feels like one of those things that's like, if you're playing an elusive deck and your opponent doesn't have elusive creatures and like as many as you have, it seems like you just are gonna win because there's elusive characters that do like 5 damage. So
or have like a ton of like spells removal that do damage and stuff,
which I haven't seen a lot of cards that have a lot of removal. I've been trying to counter it by playing Demacian cards that oftentimes have Challenger and let you attack specific units. But like I've played against decks that are like all elusive units and then abilities that cause frostbite, which give enemies zero attack. Yeah. So it's like, and every time I try to attack their elusive units, they have a handful of frostbite cards, and they're just like, nope. So there are parts of that in that game that feel like hyper frustrating. There's matches where I'm just like, this is fucking bullshit, and I'm not having a good time. But a lot of that is stuff that is it's not a problem with the mechanics of the game. It's just that they need to do some balance work on how some of those things work. And the game has been in open beta now for 2 days. So like, yeah. It doesn't surprise me that there are some of those balance issues happening right now. And in some ways, I kind of trust Riot to take a more agile approach to fixing that stuff than Blizzard. So I'm confident that stuff will get better.
It's got a good aesthetic. It's the
Oh yeah,
league
the art's
aesthetic.
phenomenal.
They've added a lot of like I guess characters for the cards. It's not all league champs. It's like people from who live in Demacia, who live in Piltover, Zon, and like the monsters and stuff.
I didn't realize that all their comic books were just free. You can just read them on the website, and you can actually. I got by reading them on my iPad last night, and it didn't suck. There's actually characters from the comic books and stuff in Runeterra, which is cool. They're not forgetting like where the lore comes from and everything. Yeah. So the other cool, the last thing that's like interesting mechanically that I noticed, there's these games always have some kind of like draft mode where you're like building a deck. Hearthstone's is kind of notoriously not great because it's just like you pick a card at a time and out of 3 choices, and it kind of sucks. Magic just does like basic booster draft style stuff where you're opening packs and passing them to a massive pile of packs that everyone else has discarded, and then you get a pack from that pile. You're picking like a card at a time. Runeterra has a really interesting system called Expeditions where you actually get like 2 runs and you build a deck, but from what I can tell, it helps you, like the choices it gives you are based on the choices you've already made. So the deck you're building, you're not going to like get halfway down building a Demacia, Piltover, and Zon deck and then get like a Freljord card. Or if you do, it'll be like, this pick, we're giving you 3 weird options that may not make sense. But you basically do 15 picks and you're picking sets of 2 to 3 cards for those picks. And then you play, when you win a game at different points, like the first win on the track might be, now you get to pick another champion card to add to your deck. Or it might be, here's a shopkeeper, which lets you trade out cards from your deck for other cards that they're offering. So it makes it feel like way more, there's a cat behind my monitor that moved my camera. It ends up feeling way more like, evolving, and like, it's not just like, all right, I got a shitty deck, got to win a bunch of times with it. It's like more of a journey, and you have to lose twice in a row to get knocked out rather than just 2 times period. So it means there's a lot of chances to come back too. It's a cool mode.
Yeah, I don't know how deep into it I'll get, but I do want to finish up at least like the tutorial stuff and kind of go down those paths of checking out the other, like the decks and building those and see what's up. Because
so far I've never gotten a quest that's like win a game. It's all like play cards. So it doesn't seem like you have to
like
win
do
games
damage to the Nexus and stuff like that. But you can do that over time. It seems neat. I'm still waiting on Teamfight Tactics on mobile, and then I'll never do anything again.
It certainly seems like more broadly Riot is poised to overtake Blizzard as Blizzard is like vacating the spot they held in people's hearts, and Riot is in a position to move into that vacated spot in the sense that like they have so many games across multiple genres coming out, but like everything they put out is of a very high quality. So
we'll see. They're still unproven with most of what they've done or most of what they've got coming. Like they did well with Teamfight Tactics, but that was also just within like League. And that's not to discount the people who worked on it. And Runeterra, again, that's very different from League. But like once we start getting like the fighting game and whatever their like single player, like the other, and like they've also done like the publishing deal stuff that they're doing.
Yeah, that's the bigger question mark.
I feel like Runeterra and like Teamfight Tactics are a good match with League, at least as it currently is. And there's nothing wrong with doing like a third-person action adventure or whatever they're going to do. It's very different from anything they have done. So that's where I'm like,
the only project
are they going to pull it off?
The only project they have come down the pipe is that shooter and the fighting.
Are they not doing the game about Echo?
I don't believe so.
else?
That's
Okay,
another.
they're
That's a
publishing?
third party.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say there's that Bilgewater game and the Echo game, and those are both publishing deals.
Yeah.
Not developed by Riot specifically. It
So,
seems like
yeah.
they want to do the service games. Like Riot themselves want to make the
Mhm.
service games, and then they're kind of farming out the. I don't even know if farming out's the right term either, though, because it's my
Well,
understanding that studios pitch games to them,
Yes,
and then
yes, it
they
is.
get the green light to do it. So
That is what happens. At least that's what they say. They had like a whole thing about it, but yeah. But Alex seems wholly enwrapped by this conversation.
Yep.
So
I'm interested in what they do with the other games because Teamfight Tactics is just auto chess. It's just their response to auto chess. This seems like their response to Hearthstone. Like obviously it's not the same. There's changes in both of those, but they're very much responses to both of those.
Yeah.
But like I'm interested in seeing what they do with the third person action game because I don't know what they do.
I don't even know if you can call it is, but I don't even know if you can call Runeterra a response to Hearthstone because it happened like when did Hearthstone come out? Like it's happened so far after.
I mean,
5 or 6
it's kind of
years.
like calling Hearthstone a response to Magic the Gathering. It's just a genre that exists. That
Yeah. And like it's definitely it's learned from Hearthstone and the other games that are on the market and stuff. It's very, it's operating in that, card game, like digital card game space.
Let's swap out the word response and replace it with inspired by.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely like, what does that fighting game actually like when it comes out? What does it actually look like? Is it a service like type game? Is it a MOBA or is it a League of Legends, but just on a 2D plane? And they showed like that digital footage, but does it like do the Killer Instinct model where it's free to play? Or is it like a $60 game? Who knows?
Yeah. Again, academically, it'll be interesting to watch, but I'm not too invested.
Mm-hmm.
And I get where you're coming from because like I think the fact that they're doing a fighting game is cool, and I'll probably try it, but I'm not good at those games, so I don't think I. Although I don't know, that's that team that made
Rising Thunder,
and that game was all about being there for people who didn't play a lot of fighting games. So.
I would hazard a guess that Riot wants as many people as they can get playing these games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so I imagine
they would probably rather it not be a thing that people are playing at Evo and more a thing that lots of people are playing.
Yeah.
As a side thing, and they have some sideshow tournament at Worlds that is for the
because there are so many people who like watch League even if they don't play, or if they're not good at League they still love watching like the LCS or whatever, and like love the characters and cosplay, and like I think they want to be in as many markets as they can be. So and fighting game community they have been not in at all, so
I'm buying that lore book today. I didn't know it was out.
I enjoy. I don't care about the lore really. It's like there's some interesting stories, but
it's interesting to me because my understanding is they basically were like, "Wow, our lore is all over the place." And then did a ton of work to like rewrite it all, and that's what this book is. It's like. Here's
our lore Bible,
and like I don't know if they pulled it off, but like it seems like the premise is like, hey, look, it's good now. It's
cohesive because
So I'm interested to read through it.
Yeah, they definitely like as they were releasing some champions, like okay, we rewrote all the lore for Freljord, and now
I do find the weirdest thing about Runeterra to me that I'm kind of like I actually kind of hope they change. So there's a Senna card, which makes sense, but it's not a champion, which doesn't make sense. It's basically like it does the equivalent of leveling up if it sees Lucian die, but also it's not a champion. It's just a regular unit. So
is maybe because is Braum a champion?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know.
It's weird. I thought it was weird. I was just like, well, why doesn't Senna get to be a champion?
There's too many champions. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Well, that's enough of that. Let's move on to a little thing I call the news.
I have breaking news from 15 hours ago. As reported by PC Gamer, being muted in a game does not violate your civil rights. U.S. federal court declares.
Oh, jeez.
Get fucked, RuneScape player.
Constitutional free speech guarantees restrict government actors, not private entities.
Man, Club Penguin, they were in the right the whole time.
Exactly.
Yes. Poor
There's no more to
RuneScape
that
player.
story other than get fucked, gamers.
Also, speaking of getting fucked gamers, get fucked Linux gamers, as 2020 will not be the year of the Linux desktop, according to Psyonix, developers of Rocket League, as they plan to cut off support for Mac and Linux in the coming months.
And I saw some people, something I saw people complaining about was the fact that they're doing refunds, but they're not refunding microtransactions on those platforms.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't know if there's a precedent, because I think there was a precedent set by Paragon. I think they actually refunded microtransactions. But
I guess, yeah. But also that was because they canceled the game, and like Rocket League's been out for a while.
It has.
I mean, that game will probably shut off someday, and then I don't know. Like it sucks, but they can still, because you can still play the game on. You can still play the game on PC. So, or you could log in on that account on like a console or whatever. So.
Yep. Yeah, so it's not like they just disappear.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to own a console and you're only going to be on Linux or Mac, I guess that sucks, but
you're obsessed with CentOS and you don't want to leave it.
If you have a Mac that you're playing video games on, there's a good chance, I don't want to be classist at all, but there's a good chance if you have a Mac that runs Rocket League, you could purchase a Switch. They're expensive items, they're luxury items, but they are not that expensive when compared to other technology.
Or alternatively, you can boot camp.
Basically what they said is it comes down to there's not enough people playing to warrant the support.
Oh yeah,
so
it's like the Gwent thing on consoles. Like CD Projekt was like, they're like, hey, Gwent's are going to be around, and it's doing great PC. On mobile, but
mobile,
no one's playing on Xbox and PS4, so why would we continue to support it? It's development cost and time, and it costs money to put patches out and stuff, which is not necessarily the case for Rocket League on Mac and Linux. Although I don't know about Macs.
Yeah, it's not just that; it's also server. Like if they're constantly having to pay for server, like the servers that are up at all times and waiting for people. Like if they're never getting
it's crossplay though, so it's crossplay, so it's everyone's on the same servers, right? So
but there might be like login servers that are portals for that are bridging to the like game server.
I mean, they have to pay someone to patch and troubleshoot those versions, and if RIP Linux desktop didn't even have a chance.
It's actually interesting because recently there has been a lot more push for Linux games.
Yeah,
it seems like that ebbs and flows so much.
Yeah, but I mean, within the past 2 weeks, there's actually been a lot of fervor in the Linux community. If you've been keeping an eye on it, but it's.
I can't imagine a thing I would keep an eye on less than the Linux community.
No, there's plenty, but
my direct manager is very, very Linux heavy and also a gamer.
I'm sorry.
So
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. He's awesome. And we were talking about Linux gaming not 2 days ago. So
yeah. I have other breaking news.
Go for it.
Okay. Don't break my heart.
Apparently, this might break some people's hearts, although he also maybe said some pretty shitty stuff in pub games at some point. But Anna, I guess, is taking a season off from playing with OG.
That's not
going
surprising.
For the three-peat?
That's not surprising to me, though, because he also took time off last time, because I think he also has a lot of anxiety. So
he says the tweet that I'm looking at from 4 minutes ago says our carry player and IO God Anadota 99 will extend his break and come back for next season. Rest well, Anathon. So
that's fine. Good for him. Let him take care of his mental health, yo.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially in Australia right now.
All right. Moving on. We done diddly got a peek at the back of the Xbox One X.
Also,
Series X, the Xbox Series X. Oh.
It's slightly important. There is a GIF of Anna being Thanos dusted away that OG posted in response to the tweet where they announced this.
That's pretty good.
Yes. Anyway, the Xbox.
Yeah, we saw the back of the Xbox One X. It has a pass through, and then there's a Connect port. What else is on the back?
Oh yeah, it's a USB-A.
That's weird. Like the square cables. Why do you think it has a serial bus?
It's a FireWire. What the hell?
Well,
but yeah, no, I don't know why this is news, but it's
just
I don't know why it's news either.
You know what?
The news story to me is why the fuck do people care about this?
There's one thing. Go for it. Andre.
Well, AMD was like, "Hey, check out the back of the Xbox One X," and then Microsoft was like, "Nah."
Oh, I'm talking about that. That was different. That was when they showed it during the Ryzen whatever or the CES thing.
Yeah. So that was recent. But that they got off like Turbo Squid.
Yeah, and then like this, you're talking about the kind of leaked one that someone posted a picture of on Twitter, which the interesting part of this one has been the fact that they didn't cover up the serial number. So people who saw the picture were just registering it with Microsoft to make sure like, oh, can I actually register this console? And it worked. So that means it was actually definitely legit.
Interesting.
So that means whoever's Xbox development kit that is definitely in some deep shit because that serial number is tied to them.
Unless it was all planned.
Yeah, unless it was Phil Spencer who actually put this out.
Yeah, he did say he took one home. That'd be really funny. I don't think Phil Spencer's got that kind of gaudy carpet. Not gaudy, like that kind of shitty carpet, though. I bet he's got like nice hardwood floors.
Yeah, probably. I don't.
Rich mahogany.
I know that like the thing that I heard people talking about was that like weird long port thing, like slot on it as like a potential spot where you could put like a hard drive extension or something. But I think the thing about all this stuff to me is just, even as an enthusiast, someone who talks about this stuff every week, and almost all of my free time, especially this time of year, spent on games in one way or another. I just don't understand why people give a shit about what ports it has on the back. It's going to have a port for audio. It's going to have a port to connect to your TV. It might have some weird slot to put an extended hard drive in.
The only thing interesting to me here is no USB-C.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah.
USB-C is definitely what things are going to be using for the next.
Yeah, it's taking over. Like there are a lot of laptops you can get that only have USB-C.
Yeah, the new MacBook is 100% USB-C. There isn't even like a dedicated power port. It's because it's powered by USB-C.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know that, but I guess I don't really connect.
If they want high-speed storage, like you can, like, I guess it's not technically any faster than 3.1, but it's interesting because like the cables are better, more reliable,
last longer.
Yeah, I think, do they allow for faster charging? I don't even know.
They do.
So
also
this could also just be like a
pre-production. There also could be a USB-C port on the front of the thing that we just haven't seen before because it's behind a little flap that's well hidden, or who knows. Like,
ultimately, who cares?
Yeah.
It's like the people who are like, "Oh, it's just a computer." It's like, yeah, no shit. Yeah, it has ports.
It has been.
It has ports. No shit. Like, yeah, whatever. Who cares?
I don't know. The more and more, like, I'm getting really like, it's only not that I lay awake thinking about it, but I'm starting to get frustrated to the degree at which people are like speculating about new computer or new consoles. They're going to be moderately powerful computers that are affordable compared to what making a big gaming machine would cost, and they're going to play games. Like, the interesting stuff is stuff like Microsoft's whole, like, where games will run on the Xbox One X for another year and a half or whatever, like that. Those structural generational, like, this is how we're going to structure this console launch things sound interesting.
Well, how are Xbox One games going to run on the Xbox Series X if there's no HDMI in? Riddle me that.
But I think we actually talked about this probably weeks ago, where like, yeah, I'm sure we talked about this on the podcast, where it was like visuals at some point became good enough to where like were you looking at PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, the step up in visuals was huge. PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, same thing. 3 to 4, and 4 to 5,
Well,
like,
we'll see.
It's probably not going to be like a monumental change in visuals and stuff. So the thing that really matters is services. So like that's what people should be caring about, is like, okay, what services are going to change? What it's the thing about like multiple suspended apps that people are talking about. It's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. That's what you
CPU
want.
stuff and what that means for the games. It's what like the hardware is the hardware. It's
the hardware. It's a computer.
Different.
You plug stuff into it. It probably has Bluetooth for your controller. Ta-da.
If like the multiple suspended apps is cool, but also if it's like, oh, you can hot swap between playing Senua's Saga and the Giant Bomb app on Xbox, I don't fucking care about that at all.
No, if I can have like 6 games, going, and it's not going to impact performance, if I can just be like, boop, don't have to go through like the whole like, okay, close this game, and okay, now I have to go through the whole like boot sequence of the next game.
That was definitely a sea change between the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4. Was like, if you put your PlayStation to sleep mode, you had to restart.
You had to turn off the game. Yeah.
Like same thing now with the PlayStation 4. You're not thinking about it. You're just putting it to sleep and starting it up again, and you're just like, yeah, I am where I was. Like that's something you're not thinking about anymore. And we should have more stuff like that, where it's just like, this is a state where it's just good.
I think the suspension stuff, like being able to suspend a game, is definitely like really useful and important. And it's kind of like, this is also the whole like load time, which I'm coming around on a little bit, but I'm still not sold as a reason for me to buy a $500 box. Is like, I don't know that being able to suspend 3 games instead of just one I
don't think any one of those features is a thing that you should be buying a console for. I think it's just kind of like the cumulative improvement across the entire experience.
Yeah, and we'll see what PS5 offers. Like with Xbox, it sounds like they're not even going to make you make the decision for a while, because like you can see how those cumulative differences play out in the wild before making a choice as to whether you even want to upgrade. Whereas with PlayStation 5, who knows?
I will be interested to see how Microsoft pitches it, because if the games aren't going to be like exclusive, at least like the Microsoft games, how do they pitch that to people? But
I think I would hope, or hope's the wrong word. I suspect that they'll come out and do a very similar E3 presentation this year to what they did last year. And they'll focus on games. And then there'll be a brief segment where they're like, at the beginning this time, probably instead of the end, all the games you're seeing are running on Xbox Series X hardware. We're excited to be able to offer all of our first party titles across the Xbox lineup. But they'll be missing some features and visual fidelity on the less powerful hardware. And I mean, they'll word it differently, but like,
and also here's the games. 4.
Oh God.
And the UI is still as slow as ever.
bringing back Blades.
Bring back Black. Hell yeah.
Oh God. Like the game Black?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Make Bungie make Black.
Yeah. Black 2.
Wait, let Bungie make Black? Okay.
Yeah, because Bungie is like, they're one of the best, or Infinity Ward.
You mean, okay.
The 2 best feeling shooters that I've played this generation are Destiny 2 and Modern Warfare. So.
I'd be interested in seeing what Criterion's been doing, so giving him Black 2 would be pretty fun. Anyways.
All right. Well, moving on, because we spent so much time talking about the back of the Xbox One X or Series X. God, it's okay. I'm coming around. It's a bad name. All right, Alex, how about you take us through this next story? For the first time ever, an R-Wing from Star Fox 64 has been spawned in vanilla Ocarina of Time. No Game Shark or other cheat device used.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much about it beyond that.
Was this done on a console? Or
correct.
In an
well, they did it on Wii Virtual Console, but then they also, within the week after, they did it on an N64. And it's very much, how when they did like task runs at GDQ, that's a lot of acronyms, but at Games Done Quick in the past, they did a tool-assisted speedrun using their robot that basically like let them arbitrarily execute code in Pokemon, which let like the Twitch chat go into Pokemon Red and stuff. Like they were able to hook up to the internet and hook up IRC to it. So they were able to find a way to do arbitrary code execution in the original Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and like the model has been known to be in the code for a long time, and through this arbitrary code execution by like changing your file save name and then like doing very specific movements and interacting with things at a specific point, let them like warp to the end of the game and stuff like that. But yeah, now they can actually spawn in an R-Wing, and it's not that it's just like a static R-Wing, it has full animations from Star Fox 64. Like, so it's just, you're looking at Zelda, but here's this R-Wing and it's just like floating around and like animating and stuff. It's bizarre, but yeah, that's it. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, it's a really weird little thing that that community was able to do.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. Dying Light 2 was delayed.
Yeah. No games are ever going to come out.
No, I'm not surprised. But
honestly, I have enough to play. I could probably play the games that exist now for the rest of my life, and wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. We don't need game saturation. There already is game saturation. So
yeah,
it is kind of crappy that now everything is being moved, kind of being far away. So I guess, but it also makes space for the indies to show up. Like, this gives us space to talk about Temtem and stuff like that.
Oh, and like I was coming into January thinking like, well, I'll play Kakarot, and that's the only thing that's really coming out until March at the earliest that I want to play. And now I have like Iceborne came out on PC.
Yep. That
happened the end of last month, but still earlier. I don't remember when exactly, but still, like Iceborne came out on PC. I have Runeterra that I want to play. Plague Tales on Game Pass.
Yep.
Temtem came out. Tokyo Mirage Sessions came out on Switch. Like, I'm sitting on like 10 games that I really want to play, and I got to finish Dishonored 2. So like, I have a huge plate full of games when I kind of thought this was going to be the time where I would like veg out with Kakarot, which is now a game that I will pick up on a sale in 6 months or like 2 months based on the way it's going.
When it shows up on PlayStation Plus in 6 months.
Yeah, or Game Pass.
It won't show up on PlayStation Plus. I don't think they'll get it. No, I don't think that'll happen.
Check in 6 months.
Yeah, there's a lot of games. Pat, you got to play Death of the Outsider.
Yep.
All the Dark Souls games.
The Dark Souls
Dragon Quest 11.
I need to make a statement.
All the Dragon Quests.
You gotta know the whole. Gotta know all the lore.
I want to set the record straight on the Dark Souls thing.
Hey, no, I've
gotten a lot of guff about this. I caveated all the while that there's no way I'm going to play all of the Dark Souls games this year. Just that I want to play through them all over the next
an hour and a half to play each
X
one.
Amount of
Don't
time.
You watch the speed runs?
Dark Souls is like my background game now. Although then Modern Warfare, I also said all of that before I started playing Modern Warfare, which is like a sickness.
Yeah, no, see,
like
that's me in Destiny 2.
It's totally you in Destiny 2 because the battle pass for Modern Warfare ends in like a week and a half, and I'm like level 60, and I lost a lot of time by being out of town.
Yeah.
So I kind of also feel like I could just take another week off from work and play Modern Warfare for 40 hours next week to make sure that I'm catching up.
I thought you were going to say I could just take another week off and not worry about the battle pass anymore and then start again.
No, I'm saying take a week off of work.
That's not where I thought you were. That's not where I thought you were going to go.
I will be purchasing tiers of the battle pass. I'm sitting on a bunch of coins. I have more than enough coins now because of they gave you a bunch of free ones if you had Black Ops 4, and then those turned over into Modern Warfare points. I don't know why, but anyway, I have more than enough points, even not having bought any, to finish the battle pass and buy levels now. And so I will be doing that to make sure that I get that sweet skin at the end of the path.
All right. I got an emote that lets me feed some pigeons for maxing out the battle pass in Destiny 2, like some digital pigeons.
That's good.
Dying Light 1 was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked.
To swing us back around.
We, my partner and I are still playing through it. We play through it really slowly.
I played a little bit of it, but it didn't grab me. I beat Dead Island, but Dying Light didn't really pull me in.
I like the expansion they added with all the vehicles. That was really interesting.
Yeah, we're excited to play that. Dying Light, like the things that I don't like about it are, one, the weapon durability stuff is like, I get why it's there, and I think it's probably better that it is there, but it's still a pain to interact with. Totally. And it's also a very punishing game. It's not especially difficult if you pay attention to what you're doing, but it also, if you like fuck up, you can get like royally fucked up. Yep. And it's also things like, I like to shoot the zombies, and there's like the guns are very sparse, and when you do get them, if you fire a gun, it's almost more dangerous to shoot the gun than it is to kill the thing that you're shooting at with it, because it's so loud and it attracts more zombies. So like, I think there's really great stuff about the first game that I really enjoy, but at the same time, it's almost stressful at times to play it, kind of in a manner similar to Resident Evil. Although if the only times though where I'm like, okay, I don't want to do the next thing is the stuff at night. And that's like, they do a really good job of making the nighttime very terrifying, but it's also like, sometimes we get to a night mission and we're like, that's all for now. And then a month later, we'll do the one night mission and be like, okay, that was so stressful. We played for a half hour. We'll come back to this again in the future.
I think that stuff is great.
It is. It's really good. It's well made. It's just, it's actually harder in co-op than it is solo, because you got to worry about the other person making it. So like, sometimes though, it's also led to very cool instances where I'm like, okay, I aggroed the scary, bad zombies that come out at night. You just run to the mission completion area. I'll try to lose them. Don't bother trying to help me. And that stuff is kind of cool too. But yeah, it can be stressful to play, but I'm excited for the second game because of all the, like, it seems like it's just going to do a lot more cool stuff that's new for that experience.
And cool.
Hopefully also, the only other issue with the first game that I hope they solve in the second game, there's like hundreds of side quests in the first game.
Yep.
I mean, it's like every time you get to a new main quest, you get like 10 to 15 more side quests. And they're all like, a lot of them are pretty decent. Sometimes they're just fetch quests, but it means that your quest log is like constantly, we play after we set it down for a few weeks, we come back to it and it's like, we have like 15 quests. I guess, what do you want to go do? And sometimes it feels like you're treading water because you're just doing side quests forever.
Yep. It's a lot of stuff to do. They added so much stuff to that game over time. Oh yeah. So if like, it's almost a service game, even though it's like, you can play it co-op and stuff, but it's just, they added so much to it.
Usually when we log in after a month, that game came out in what, like 2014, something like that.
It's 2015, 2014.
Yeah, maybe. We'll jump on again like every month or so to play, and there will be news about like a new weapon pack being added or something.
Yeah,
which is just like, it's been out for years.
Like, yeah, I wonder like if people are like steadily playing it like all the time, or
a lot of it's stuff that they're selling. So
yeah, no, I just wonder if like that was like actually like a weirdly big hit for them. Like,
I think it probably was.
Like a Witcher 3, like super long tail type thing.
And I would bet
like
that
not as large.
Yeah. I would bet that the people who are playing it consistently and not just coming back to it are buying everything that comes out. Because it's like $3 a month to get the newest weapon pack. So yeah. Anyway,
good for them. Hopefully Dying Light 2 can deliver on all the stuff that they're saying, and they actually use that time to make it work. Do you think it comes out this year? Dying Light 2?
If it's PS4, then yes.
Do you think
I don't think it's
pushed to the next generation of consoles?
I
think they could, but I don't know if it's wise.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to matter that much, frankly. Like, I think they could say, put PS5 on the box instead, and then it'll run better. Like,
it'll be like Assassin's Creed 4.
Sort of, yeah.
Or
Black Flag, whatever you want to call it.
It was Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
There we go.
All right. Here, last thing, it says Stadia owners are tired of Stadia being poopy.
Yep. Yeah, no, there's just been kind of there's been some articles, and the article that I think was linked in this one is actually from Business Insider. So it's not like a small publication.
Yeah.
And like basically people who bought in on Stadia in November when it came out are like, hey, this thing has been shitty since the start and it's still not better. And we're almost at February. It's been like 4 months. Are you guys going to do anything to make this worth my investment? Or like, what the fuck? Because like Google hasn't really said. They gave you some
Tomb Raider games. Come on.
Yeah, but like Google's been pretty radio silent since. Since November. Like they haven't said anything.
Yeah. But I saw in someone's thread, like an engineer for Google was in like for Stadia was in there like, oh, you'll see.
But they said that like at CES when they announced it or whatever. Was it CES?
Oh yeah, no. Well, but this was like this wasn't like this. Just felt like an engineer who was like, stop talking shit about the thing I'm working on. Like, I mean, and like you don't know, we're gonna do it. And it seems like the people there really believe in what they're doing, but they also seem insulated from.
Because of the gas they pump into Google offices.
No, I think it's valid. I think the technology, it's what we said since the start. The technology is great and it works and it's really neat. But the problem is the service and everything surrounding it.
Yeah.
It's like the implementation is what's shitty. It's not the actual technology.
I'm just getting my prequel meme ready now so this is how Stadia dies to thunderous applause.
Just under a bunch of sand.
Yeah.
From the high ground.
How many Tomb Raider games have they given away?
At least two.
Yeah, at least.
Also, did they give them away or were they added to the Stadia Pro thing?
They were added to the Stadia Pro.
So they're not giving them away.
You still had to buy. You
still have to pay for Stadia Pro, which is a service you have to pay money for if you want to keep it.
They needed to launch the free tier alongside all of this shit. Like
at this point they couldn't update the Chromecast Ultras.
Then just do
for
it
launch.
With the browser. Just limit it to the browser. Limit it to something. Get people into the environment. Like now no one wants to touch it.
And meanwhile xCloud is getting better and better and starting to eat Google's lunch as they add Destiny. And you do need to own an Xbox to use xCloud currently. I was looking because they're expanding to more countries, but part of the requirements is you have to own an Xbox.
That's fine.
For me, I was like, oh, I could try and get in this, check it out, but I can't.
Yeah, but it's fine because it will expand.
All I know is that Alex from Super GG offered me a Stadia Buddy Pass, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take it off your hands if you really don't want it. And then he messaged our Twitter and was like, if you still want that Stadia Pass, I'll send it to you. And I was like, yeah, if you really don't want it, I'll try it for 5 minutes probably. And then we started talking about something else and got away from it. And I haven't cared to go bug him to send it to me because
you could have been great for your flight. You could have talked about.
Oh, I'm sure it works really well over in-flight.
Yeah.
Play some Destiny on the plane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be perfect.
What was the name of the one?
You could have run through the corridors of time while on the plane.
What was the name of their one exclusive?
Guilt.
Yeah, could have played
GYLT.
Guilt.
Which I heard was not good.
I heard it was. Okay. I heard the way you said that made it sound like it was very bad.
What I have heard is a lot of people who sound like they don't want to shit on the developers of Guilt, which I don't want to do either because I'm sure they're very nice people who are talented at things. But it's every time I've heard someone talk about it, they talk about it with a tone that's like, it was okay in like they don't want to just point out that it's like really, really, really mediocre. And
it seemed fine.
Yeah.
Stadia. That thing seems dead.
Yes.
Well, they're supposed to have they said like 120 games by the end of the year.
By the end of 2020.
I will say as far
it's almost a game per dollar.
As far as game services are going, I've been pretty unimpressed with Apple Arcade's progress as time has gone on as well.
There hasn't really been anything interesting in the past 2 months.
The games that are coming out now are kind of garbage in my opinion. Like it's a lot of stuff like that hockey game. There was a game that came out called Hogwash, which looks like actually a clever concept. It's like an asymmetric multiplayer game where 3 players play as pigs trying to make a mess on a farm.
That sounds
and
great.
One person is the farmer with a water gun trying to spray the pigs down and capture them and clean up the mess.
Sounds great.
Oh, and it's got cute visuals and stuff. It's nothing against the game itself, but like I don't want to play that on my iPad.
Yeah, it's like the multiplayer stuff is weird.
I don't want to play any of those games. I will play. The only thing I enjoy playing multiplayer on my iPad is turn-based stuff, and then I can DualShock. I can use my DualShock to play Call of Duty Mobile, which is very funny because lots of people are not using controllers. So I score like 18,000 more points than everyone else in the game, and carry the entire team by myself because it actually plays really well with the controller.
You would hope. Put the team on your back.
Yeah. That's
iPad,
goofy. I don't even think that it's necessarily like a valuable experience. It's just silly.
My iPad is primarily used for reading One Piece at this point.
I mean, I play Dota Underlords on my iPad. That's like my biggest.
It's reading. Like I said at the top of the show or early on, as once Teamfight Tactics comes out on mobile, oh boy,
my bedtime ritual will then become going to bed a half hour earlier so I can play a game of Dota Underlords and a game of Teamfight Tactics.
Teamfight Tactics is like half an hour itself.
That's what I mean.
If you go the distance.
Well, I play knockout games in Underlords, which are like 10 minutes. So I play 2 of those, and then anyway,
Apple Arcade games, everyone.
Well, I hope that they put something out on it that's like as good. I will say at the very least I'm staying subscribed because there was enough stuff in that initial drop.
You're still playing.
I'm still enjoying like Card of Darkness and Grindstone and stuff like that. That $5 a month is like, that's fine. I don't mind paying that for access to those things because those are kind of the things I use when I open my phone and I'm not messaging. That service needs some more stuff. I played some of that. I played some Overland 2. That game is rough in more ways than one.
All right. Are you playing as the dog? Is that why it's rough?
No, it's just
I think you mentioned you're not a fan.
It's too hard and it moves really slow and it's buggy.
Same.
But you can play as a dog.
I can't because I haven't unlocked the dog.
Well, that's why you don't enjoy it.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I think with that we can wrap it up, right?
I'm get some breakfast.
Ooh, nice.
I'm excited about that.
Go to bed. Next week, maybe some Kentucky Route Zero.
Yes.
Play that.
I'm buying the TV edition so I can throw it up on the TV easily without Steam linking.
I do want to play that. I don't know if I'll get to it next week, but that's maybe.
I'm gonna buy a nice bottle of either bourbon or scotch, and sit down with that game and play it. Hopefully in like an evening, a long evening.
On the toilet?
No.
Sad.
If you got it on the Switch, you could. You get at least part of the evening.
That's a good point. I should get it on the Switch for that reason.
Yeah.
Although I assume it's in 4K on Xbox, and I would rather play it in 4K than have it.
Well, you wait for the Switch 2 and then
the Switch Pro.
Yeah, God, people, buzzwords. All right. So thank you all for listening to this episode 105 of the Gaming Fix podcast. Thank you for those who entered our giveaway for the Humble Fire Relief bundle. The winner was selected earlier today and has received their bundle. But make sure you stay subscribed over to @FixPodcast on Twitter to keep up with us and anything else we might do. I think I'm gonna make us a Byte, which is the Vine successor.
Nice. Yes. Okay, cool. I'll install it, and I'll use Byte the way that Alex uses our Twitter, which is something that I'm really glad that you do, because it means that there's frequent tweets, but sometimes I see tweets from us and it's very hyper specific to Alex's interests.
What, like responding to other podcasts, asking for questions and asking about food?
No, like
that's
I listened, I read this book, I watched this anime.
I'm not picking on you. I appreciate it because it's good content for our Twitter.
Yeah. It's just your own. You use it as your own personal Twitter, which
hey, I don't have social media. So
again, so and you're very clear, like you know.
Oh yeah, you sign them. It's fine. This is not a complaint. This is not a subtweet.
You use it more than any of us.
This is an appreciation post, but that's how I want to use our bite, because I don't really want to make a bite, but I also want to engage with bite.
Yeah,
engage with this hashtag content.
We'll see how long this one lasts. How long did Vine last? I don't know. Anyway, episode 105. We'll be back next week with episode 106. You can find me, Andre Cole, aka your girl's favorite Temtem, on Twitter at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W. Alex, where can people find you?
Reading a book somewhere. I don't know.
Okay. Pat, how about you?
You can find me at PJC Plays, and I will say, I haven't had much of a desire to stream anything recently, and I don't know if desire will translate to free time when it's quiet to do it, but I would enjoy streaming some Runeterra at some point. So keep an eye out. I will say so on the fixed Twitter if I do that.
Yeah, that's the hot new thing. You should maybe make some bite content with it.
That's happening for sure.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Come back next week to hear more from Gaming Fix. No, is that okay? From the top. Hello and welcome to Gaming Fix, episode 105.
What does a cloud wear under its shorts?
Skyscrapers.
Skywalker.
Good night.
Good
night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
I'm upset.
Good morning. Good day. I said